Hey guys, today we're gonna take a moment to have a look at what's happening with Clop and their hacking or data breach with MOVEit, or a company that's managed or created by IP Switch, which now the name is called Progress. But basically what MOVEit is a file transfer software, or managed file transfer software, which most enterprises, businesses, and government here in the US use. Which means when your ID is scanned or issued or all that data has to go somewhere in a server and had to be shared with the federal government and all that stuff. But that is being done through MOVEit, which had a huge data breach recently, and unfortunately, and today I'm going to touch briefly on that on this podcast, and what might be a few things that you could possibly do to at least protect yourself to some extent. What this breach does to our entire data systems here in US, beyond the damage in our personal information and all that, it severs the credibility and trust from us putting our data on even government websites and servers. Because as this happened, Clop, the supposedly hacker group behind it, are already putting data that they hijack on the dark web. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to put the Onion site here on YouTube, but you can probably search it yourself, even though I suggest against it, because even if you find your information there, there's absolutely nothing you can do, and you can risk probably catching another malware or something attempting to go on those sites, because they are extremely shady. So, what Clop did is that they almost, I would put it in layman's terms, grabbed the highway of the information between the MOVEit servers and the government or business servers and banks servers and extracted all that data. How that was done, we all right now can only express opinions, but we don't have exact information how it was done, whether it was an insider or it was just that good of a hacking group or what happened. But what they did is that they went through banks and bank records. Mentioning just a few was, I think, the First National Bankers Bank, Boston-based investment management firm Putnam Investments, Green Parks, and there were some others in UK, the energy giant Shell as well. This is not only for US, but I'm referring to US as that's where I'm from right now, so I am taking it from that point of view. Basically what they did is they started probing into those servers since 2021. This is not a brand new thing that's going on, but sometimes you can do these kind of attacks in a sleeper cell mode, which means you deploy a malware or a code that's actually hidden really good on a server or a set of servers on a company or government or entity, wherever that may be, and do nothing with it for a while, so you don't raise suspicions. Meanwhile, the attackers are collecting information and operational data of that company and those servers. So what happened in this case, in what I think, they had enough information how MOVEit was operating, and now they just decided to take it all down in a way that they just downloaded all the information. They hijacked the entire service, at least portions of it, because obviously they didn't take all what IP Switch was doing, or MOVEit in this case, they named it now. But what they did, they took, and they're still taking, data from their servers. And they can use them for various malicious reasons, because I know a lot of you might be asking, but what are they going to do with it? And, you know, they're going to put it on the dark web and all that, but people are going to change accounts, know that. No, you have to understand one thing, as I made a video a couple weeks ago on the data and why data is worth more than your weight in gold to some certain companies and entities and people, that they now can exploit that data. Even if you change your driver's license, for example, your data is still the same. Just because your driver's license ID has changed, your name, last name, possibly address haven't really changed. So now that data will be sold on the dark market, obviously, to bad actors, scammers, data hijackers, to different groups that are there to exploit through that data. So now you'll be targeted for ads, for malicious acts, for hacks, for all that bad stuff. And this, I don't want to be in a scarcity here and say that all is doomed. It's not all doomed. But on the other hand, at the same time, I don't want to underplay it and say that this is a small thing. This is absolutely not a small thing at all. This is quite huge, because now you have a lot of people's data on the dark web that are not even aware of it. And there's a few things, a few routes that you can go about to at least mitigate some of it from going further. First would be, instead of changing your bank cards or credit cards password, go change the credit card. For most banks, that is free. Just go ahead and request a new card. Put your actual card as compromised or lost, and the bank will issue a new one to you. Second would be, now this is just purely my opinion, get just enough cash, if you have cash in the bank, to live by. So now, even if, God forbid, something happens to your bank, you have some cash deposits at your home. Now, I know it's dangerous, and I know the whole scarcity with that, but would you rather have something or nothing? This is where you're at right now, and where most of us are at too. Because as we see, it was exactly the opposite of what we were told, that the banks are top, safe, and secure and all that. That's not always true. Nothing on the internet, nothing that connects online is 100% safe. There's no such thing. And I always say that. A lot of times, yes, I get heat for that, especially in the comments, that, oh, but this company and but this code and this software and this... Look, if it's on the internet, it's vulnerable. End of the conversation. There's no ifs and buts about it. It is vulnerable. It's online. And let's not be distracted further from that. The second thing you can do is, if you're worried about your credit, and if you use, the credit reports and all that stuff, there is a website, which is usa.gov/forward credit-freeze. And right there, you can go to the site. I will leave it on the link in the description, and it has instructions how you can freeze or lift a freeze on your credit report, which that means a credit freeze restricts access to your credit report. So if you suspect your personal information or identity was stolen, placing a credit freeze can help protect you from fraud. So in there, they have links to Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and you have more information that you can ask a question to the USA.gov. You can either get in the live chat with them or call them and talk even further and see how can you do it to prevent any further problems with your identity theft or all that stuff. And as I said, the link will be down in the description below. And besides that, other stuff would be definitely changing your passwords. Absolutely change your passwords to a lot of, I don't know if you have accounts with government entities or banks or emails with different banks or whatnot. First would be to change those passwords. Even though you switched, let's say, your credit card, it is a great idea to actually change the password in the app, because now most of the banks have an app, and to get in that app, you go in with an ID and password. I would suggest you changing the ID on that app as well. You can change the username and the password. So at least there's one step forward to mitigate potential loss or potential fraud that might happen against you in this unfortunate moment that's not exactly brand new, but we have to say it as if it's new, even though we were aware since 2021 that this was going on to some point. But we didn't know the extent of it, and we didn't know the vulnerability of the institutions and the connections and servers and all that, because MOVEit is not a small thing. It's not a small corporate. They're a huge thing, and they are used by enterprises, by banks, by governments, by hospitals, by schools. And yes, as we know, a lot of schools were attacked, and especially if you saw the news, in Louisiana, for example. Now they're giving warnings to their citizens that their data might have been breached. And this is not to say that's limited to Louisiana only and, well, you are from, let's say, I don't know, Michigan or New York or California and you are safe. Absolutely not. This is nationwide and that's beyond US. As I said, I'm just talking about US because that's where I'm at, but this is beyond US. We're talking about this being in a ripple effect towards England, Germany, France, Netherlands, and probably more, Italy, Spain. There's gonna be more countries that will be touched by it. Who are these bad actors behind Klopp? We do not know. A lot of speculations are going, Russia, China, this and that. We absolutely do not know that. These are all speculations, and even the news media that are reporting it from a country or another, they're simply speculating at this point. Even the officials are saying that we do not know. They're still under investigation, they're still working to see what's going on, and even they're offering money if you have information about this ransomware that's going on right now. And if I'm not wrong, the US government is offering $10 million bounty on information about Klopp ransomware. Now, whether somebody will come through and rat their own friends out and save literally half of the world, and that I don't know. If somebody comes forward and does that, I guess that would be done beyond the money. That would be just purely on being a human being to save other human beings from a big headache. But 10 millions are nothing in this case, even though Klopp themselves are asking for ransomware money. But somebody that knows about Klopp and who they are would just come forward probably based on his own humanitarian move. It's not gonna be about the money because obviously they're asking for more than 10 million in ransomware, which is really sad to say that in 2023 we think ourselves as top safe and very smart and how we know about technology and how technology has moved so far and so fast, and that exactly is the problem. It moved too far and too fast that we didn't catch with it. Now, as you all know, every time there's a new law, there is always a counterpart of it. There is the criminal side of it. Otherwise, there will be no need for law. So goes in the software or internet world. If there is new measures and metrics for ransomware, attack, DDoS, and all that prevention, there is new advancements in the other side of the aisle from the bad actors or hackers or whatever you want to call them, how to breach that, how to break that, because that's what they live for and with. Unfortunately, I may never understand their ideology and why they think that is right, because if they have that kind of ability, if they're such geniuses that they can breach that much data, they can make probably that much money or more legally. You know that there's big companies, big enterprises, and governments that will actually hire you to do vulnerability tests, penetration tests, security tests on their systems, and you can live like a king. You don't really need to be under the shadows on hacking and all that stuff. That's what brings me to the point that I'm not sure if these actors are just somebody on a basement playing with their computer, hacking all these companies. I'm not gonna go in more theories here because that's what I'm walking on, and that's a very thin ice when you walk on theories only. But this doesn't seem that's just a single person or a group of friends just, oh yeah, what are we gonna do for fun this Saturday? Oh yeah, let's attack MOVEit. You know, most of the governments are transferring their citizens' data through their servers, so let's go after them. I don't think that's how it works. I would think this is a little bit deeper and there's bigger actors involved on it, because if it was just private people and they're such geniuses, I bet they can make much more money actually working with these governments and these companies, finding vulnerabilities, working as ITs, working as security agents for them. I don't know what kind of positions they might have, but if you're that genius, I bet let's forget about everything else. Our federal government alone will actually pay you quite good to help them patch these vulnerabilities. So that's what makes me think that this might be a little bit beyond my understanding and a lot of our understandings, that these actors are not acting on a private matter or just, you know, being funded by salaries, there might be something deeper. And I would just suggest you remain calm. The worst that could happen, yeah, they will attack some institutions. They might breach your identification. But don't forget, we still have ways to mitigate that. There is ways from the government to reset all your data and your ID that really would be next to useless to these guys, even if your ID was breached. And as I said, the link to how to freeze your credit will be in the description. So you can do that if you think that you might be hacked or something. So at least if they do something to your attempt to do something with your credit or whatnot, because I'm not a master on that, I'm not even a guy who understands how the credit system works. But if you're in fear of that, you just go to this website and place a hold to it, I guess, until the waters get a little bit clearer and we get more information on what's going on and what's being worked on, because it's just unfortunate and it's beyond most of us even understanding. As I said, it's not something that we deal daily with, even though I see this happening daily, but regular people are not even gonna think about this daily because it's not part of their job. You just want to go to work and come back home and enjoy your family, enjoy a dinner, and that's it. You're not thinking of, is your credit card being breached and sold in the black market? Because for most of us, we think when you pay the bank fee to have a credit card with that certain bank, you think that they had those parameters secured. But that's not true. That comes back to my point that I always say. If it's connected to the internet, it is not safe. Do what you want. It is not safe. It's just the nature of this beast. And the beast being the internet itself. And no, I don't mean it in a whole biblical meaning. I mean it in a beast that is not something that you can control from a single hand or a single government or a single state. It's just how it is. It's a big machine that works for all of us if we make it a little bit harder, at least, because it's not going to be to make it impossible for these bad actors to ruin it for all of us, because that's what they're doing here. They're simply ruining it for all of us that had kind of a warm pillow to sleep on, that, yeah, my data might be okay because, you know, the government, the banks, these big enterprises, they have a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of resources to sort this stuff out. But they don't. Nobody does. Absolutely nobody does have a iron hand to stop it. It just doesn't stop. It's just like the regular crime that happens daily. There's no way to fully stop it from happening, unfortunately. As long as there are people, there is going to be bad people amongst those people too. So we just have to be mindful and aware of how we spread our data, what we use it for, how we use it, where we use it, because we are living in a very hyperactive virtual world. And if your data is part of this virtual world, will be part of the virtual crimes. That unfortunately, those virtual crimes have real-life consequences. At least if nothing happens, it's enough to have the headache of thinking about it and not being able to sleep easy, knowing that this could happen. And ransomware is quite a nasty thing to happen, because what it does, especially if it happens to your computer, I'm just gonna touch this really quick before I go. It has happened to me before, and I've done it intentionally just to see what really happens, and I tried to recover some of the data, and I fortunately recovered from that hard drive. But it's not easy when you're talking about not terabytes, but petabytes and all the big numbers. What happened is that within seconds, every single file on my hard drive was changed. And how it changed, let's say you have a picture that ends on PNG or JPG or JPEG. Well, that ending right there was all messed up. They put a different ending on it that you could no longer open that file. And now imagine having 10 million files on your computer and going through every single one of those files, changing the extension. That's next to impossible to do. And what I did in my case, but it was just a 2 terabyte drive, it was not really the biggest thing ever. I took the drive out, I put it as external, I wiped it completely, not with BleachBit, I just wiped it, and then I used recovery software. There is a few of them, so I'm not just gonna give a name, to recover. And it took probably 2 weeks almost, 24/7 working on recovery mode to recoup all the data that was lost. And I would say 98% of the data was back, with the exception of a few maybe pictures and videos that were corrupt. And that happens. But the majority of it came back, especially with documents and some important stuff. Even though important, I call it important in the sense of I would not like to lose it, but I had other copies anyway for the important stuff. So yeah, that was just my story with ransomware, and I am very aware how it works. And yes, for the time being, at the time I had a big beautiful window on my monitor saying that I had to pay Bitcoin to some shady company and address, whatever that was, and obviously I was not gonna do that because I did it intentionally and I wanted to just see what happened, what happens when you get a ransomware. And yes, this test was done, I think back in 2017 or 18 that I tried this one. Just, you know, why not? Because otherwise, how would I understand what happens under ransomware if I don't try it myself? But I don't suggest you test this one unless you're a tech person and you have a spare computer with a spare drive on it and you just want to go through the internet and get ransomware intentionally. There are ways to do it, and I'm not gonna say it here how to do it because I don't want any of you even risking it, because it is very nasty. Let me tell you, it is nasty. And with that said, I hope I made a few points kind of clear on this video, and please remain calm and, you know, don't be frightened about it. Whatever happens, and good thing is that the authorities and the businesses and all the appropriate people are in the know about it. They're aware about it, so they're not gonna blame you for not securing your accounts. So whatever happens, most of the companies have insurances, so you might lose a few nights of sleep thinking about it, but in the end of the day, most likely you are about to be compensated if you lost any money or whatnot, and they will find a way to replace your ID and all that stuff, and even the credit reports will probably be mitigated in a way that you will not lose your credit points. So those are kind of good things to keep thinking about while this is going on and while this is being resolved, hopefully soon. And these people that are behind it, hopefully they get caught and we see who the hell they are and what. Well, we know why they're doing it, kind of, but not really. And as I said, just remain calm. Nothing's unrepairable if it's virtual, and thankfully this is just a virtual attack, so it's always doable and undoable because it's all code and computers. Nothing is lost forever on a computer unless you grab a hammer and pummel it in pieces. Then yeah, maybe it's undoable. But otherwise, for a virus, a ransomware and all of that is repairable. There is no forever breaking on a computer via software. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll leave a like and subscribe and maybe share it with somebody who might need to hear and know about this one. And we will see you next time. Bye!